احكي لك عدل، فبتعبني والله.
يعطيك العافية، يعطيك العافية. Okay, so last time, hope you see the presentation or the slides. And we talked about planning quality, how we plan quality, show you the quality project, how you plan it. You have to expect the output for each the process and in the planning and executing the project, then monitoring the whole project. We also have aspects and scope for IT project. We have to know, then based on that, we will talk about more things that is relevant to the scope and aspect. The functionality is the degree to which system perform intended function. يعني انت you implemented a certain function to calculate the mean, it has to calculate the mean correctly with margin of error accepted margin of error you defined it. For example, الفيتشر تبع your design application is the special characteristic that is the user looking for, the application's appeal for. System output are the screens and the report that system can generate. The performance, it addresses how well the product or service performs based on the use, intended use, volume of use, and response time, etc. Reliability is the ability to produce certain service or the service under the normal conditions. So it's reliable based on normal condition. So an application that will require certain bandwidth, if you don't have this bandwidth, the application will be unreliable. But because we define the reliability requirement for the bandwidth, then the user will understand it is not meeting the requirement to be reliable. And maintainability is how easy to perform maintenance on such a product. So the scope of the IT project that you have to define your quality within is functionality and the feature, system output, performance, reliability, and maintainability. Who's responsible for the quality of the project?
كواليتي مانجر، بروجكت مانجر.
Project manager. Project manager, during the implementation project, is the project manager. Because he's the one who has to oversees the process.
مهندس مش في بالبروجكت بيكون quality assurance.
They depend on the organization. But the same quality assurance, it belongs to the team.
Yes.
So the project manager oversees. You don't have to do the quality ولكن you have to oversee the process.
Okay.
Also, there is not just the project manager. Several organizations can help the project manager and their team to understand the quality. And there is a lot of standard that is set the quality of a project like ISO, International Organization of Standardization, or IEEE's. Performing quality assurance. What is quality assurance? It includes all the activity related to relevant to satisfying standard of the project. It's another goal for the quality assurance to continuously improve the process. When you benchmarking, you generate idea for quality to improve by comparing specific project to your own case to try to produce basically compare different project practice that has the same characteristic of your project. This will give you a very good idea, like you have a different experience, different project, and this project has the same pretty much setting, the same experience. You can benchmarking between these two projects to try to improve the quality or see how you improve the quality. And there is audit, quality audit. Basically, it's founded to review specific quality management activity to help identify lesson learned basis. Basically, the main output of quality control are acceptance, decision, rework, process adjustment. Quality control, there are several tools, specifically 7 basic tools to help performing quality control. What are these tools?
اللي هم الأكسبتنس والريورك والبروسيس أدجستمنت.
It's kind of different. Tools, 7 basic tools to perform quality. Cause and effect diagrams. It's basically a way to trace complaint about the quality problem back to the responsible production operation. It helps identify the root cause of the problem. It's also known by fishbone. We'll show you why it's called fishbone or Ishikawa diagram. Ishikawa diagrams can also use 5-way technique by repeating question why to basically to build the layers or symptom that can have the root cause. Why it is called fishbone. طلع الدايجرام هذا زي الفيشبون. مظبوط. تعرف شو الفيشبون كيف البون تبع الفيش. ايوه. It asks 5 whys to build out the root cause of the problem. And if you can see, there is a training. User did not reset the password. User did not check box, save the password. User keep forgetting password. And from the figure that you discover why user cannot use a certain application. In this case, the application called EIS. As you see, this diagram, it resembles the skeleton of the fishbone. That's why it's called fishbone. A diagram usually lists the main area of an application that you measure quality for, and that could cause a problem in the application. So the first step is you list all the areas. Then maybe the areas also include the hardware, software, also user training. In this case, they are listing training, software, user hardware, which is the client, your end, and system hardware, which is the server where it's been installed, the database system, and all this stuff. And it is dividing, this diagram is dividing the application into different area, users and hardware. What is the problem of the user? Like why they did not check the checkbox, because the checkbox is small, the font is small around it. He did not see it. Why the user did not check the box, to save the password. You have to reveal a lots of why beyond a certain problem. Okay, this is called cause and effect diagram or bonefish diagram to identify the as a tool to identify the quality of the application. Second tool, Abdullah.
لا كنت بتحكي اوكي مهندس بس.
Second one is quality control chart. It's basically a graph that displays the data to illustrate the result of the process over the time. It collects the data over the time, and to evaluate the process of using or doing the quality on the application. Basically, the main use of it to prevent defects rather than to fix defect. So you are using this chart to try to prevent the defect from the happening in the future. It also, the quality control chart allowed to determine whether the process is in control. Yani the process that using is really evaluating the quality or not. When the process is in control, any variation is the result of the process are created by random event. Process in control do not need to be adjusted. أما إذا في random event that happened during the process of quality, then you have to adjust your process. Depend on the random on non-random events during the quality. When the random event happened, then processes are said to be in control, do not need to be adjusted. When the process is out of control, then the process caused by a non-random event, you need to adjust the process. 7 rules you can use to quality control chart to look for pattern. The 7 rule state if the 7 data point in a row all are below the mean, above the mean, or increasing or decreasing. Let's see the diagram in here. If we're talking about the 7 rule in the quality control chart method, if we have 7 event consecutive in the same below the mean or above the mean, this mean that is the process need to be adjusted. Look at this time dimension versus inches in this diagram of control chart for a process that manufacture 12-inch rulers. So the 12-inch, assume that the ruler created by machine on assembly line. مفهوم? And each point on the chart represent the length measurement. يعني it is 12 inch, it measure 12 inch. عندنا احنا الانشز من 11.9 inch to 12.10 inch. Okay, and the time dimension represent the difference from the 12 inches, different 12 inches. Each point on the chart represents the length measured for the ruler that comes off the assembly line. The scale on the vertical axis goes from 11.9 to 12, represent the lower and the upper specification limit of the ruler, right? In this case, the customer has specified that all the ruler purchase must be 12 inch plus minus 10 inches. And 10 inches is acceptable. ماشي? The 7 rules state if 7 data point in a row, 7 data point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. هنا if 7 data point in a row below the mean or above the mean or all increasing or decreasing, then the process need to be examined for non-random process or non-random problem. So in this chart, where we need to examine the process based on this chart, the definition says is seven rules. If 7 data point in a row are all below the mean or above the mean or increasing or decreasing, يعني عندنا هون 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 or 7 point. معناته هون we have a non-random problem, as well as 1 2 3 4 5 6 هون increasing بس 1 to 7 هون increasing, also another non-random problem. Besides that,
بهالحالة لازم نعدل البروجكت صح؟
لازم نعدل the process of measuring the quality.
Mhm.
We have to measure, yeah. And the third one is the run chart. Basically, the run chart displays the history or pattern of the variation of the process over the time. And it can be used to perform trend analysis to forecast the future outcome based on the historical. Yani basically, we use the historical data to examine our process. In this diagram, you see sample run chart, number of defects each month for 3 different types of defects. And from the diagram, you can extract the pattern. Defect number 1 اللي هو this one. It is increasing over the time, مظبوط. See the diagram, it's easily identify. Defect number 2 اللي هو هذا, it's decreasing. Defect number 3, it's fluctuated. ماشي. So sample run chart use historical data to forecast future outcome. And the fourth method is scatter diagram. Help to show. It's basically using diagram and data and plotting these data to extract patterns. In the scatter diagram, it examines if there is a relationship between two variables. So two variables might be affecting a certain problem. And the closer of the data point are to a diagonal line, more close to variable to be related, as we can examine from this diagram plotted. This diagram provides sample scatter diagram that is a project manager created to compare user satisfaction rating of a certain system. See if there is any relationship based on the age respondent. Age respondent from 0 to 60 and user satisfaction rating from 2.5 through 5. What you can see from this?
مهندس هون وين المين؟
We're not talking about means هون. احنا talking about straightforward answers, scatter, based on the age and user satisfaction. If you see the satisfaction from the age 0 to 20, ما فيش satisfaction.
بس هم الأغلب حوالين ال 30.
أيوة الأغلب حوالي between 20 وال 40.
40, yes.
That's pattern. They are the most satisfied with the system. And when more age is their satisfaction, but less satisfaction between 40 and
60.
And the fifth method is the histograms. A histogram is basically a bar graph of distributed variable. Each bar represents an attribute or a certain character that is being measured And the bar heights represent the frequency of this problem or the event happening. Maybe you guys are already familiar with that, what is the histogram is.
Yes.
And for example, a project manager asked help desk to create a histogram to show how many total complaints they receive each week about the system. So for week one, we received is 75. Week two received 93, 92, and so forth. So it's a way to measure quality based on feedback from the customer. And the sixth one, Pareto chart, it's also a histogram, help in identifying priority problem area. And it is also the Pareto diagram or chart. It's also called 80-20 rule, meaning 80% of problem and 20% of the cause. See an example is like the histogram basically, but it shows the number of complaint over the week and the area where is the complaint. For example, if you see the login problem are most frequent used user complaint. They are using, or the user complain the most on the login problem, following by the system lockup. Then system be slow, system is too hard to report, and so forth. The first and the second complaint account for the 80. شايف هذولا 80% of the user complaint. If you add them up, therefore, in your case, you should focus in these two. I mean, how many people report complain about report are inaccurate? Not too many people. So I'm not gonna be prioritizing my time on looking at this issue. I will focus on the login problem, which has lots of complaint, and system lockup problem. So these two area will be my main focus. It's obvious why I have to do that, right? And that's why it is called 80. First two issues, login and system lockup, account for 80% of the total complaint, and the rest of the 20% are the causes. And you should focus in making it easier to log in. You will solve and making the take care of the system lockup. You solve 80% of the issue. And why it is being 20% of the cause? Because people are very frustrated from these two, and to open up the door to complain about other things. Maybe it is a problem or it is not a problem. But if it is really a problem, more user will be reporting issue on this matter. So other issue are more likely is not a problems in the system. So you take care of the 80%, the 20% is mainly user issue. Because if they are system issue, other user will be complain about it. Clear? System is too hard to use. Maybe 3-4 users are not even lazy to read a training manual, and they just open a complaint about this. It's not a problem in the ish, in the system itself, مظبوط. It is a problem in the user themselves. System is too slow. I've encountered this issue so many times with other users to find out their own network is slow. It's not the system, their own network. Your machine is slow. Your machine has viruses. And these are the problem what you used to find when the people complaining about the system is slow. And a flowchart, the last one is a flowchart. Flowchart is basically graphical display of logic and the flow of the process. Helps analyze how problems occur and how processes can be improved. And also it shows activity decision point, and you guys probably familiar with flowchart. In this figure you will see an example. It shows the process project team might use for accepting or rejecting any deliverable, and deliverable acceptance route to appropriate decision maker, accepted, no document required, what is need to be required, then do it, then go back, notify requester, and log into the system, and system accepted, sign approval, and go on. That's another way to or tool for quality measures. We'll stop here for today, and you guys have any question?